Hello HEMA friends and welcome to this new video. Today I want to discuss the way in which you land actions, your cuts, etc. So there is a big difference between landing cuts in this kind of way, so snappy cuts, and landing big huge cuts with power and intention. Now of course every single action finds place into fencing, especially what the German calls Bloßfechten, so basically fencing without any kind of armor. And in this case, these kind of tiny cuts are ideal to snipe hands and forearms of the opponent. So if you are at a long distance, you want of course to land a tiny little cut to the opponent's hands ideally, because with a good or lucky hit you may even enable the opponent from being able to fence anymore. So landing actions like a snappy action, tiny action to the opponent from below, from above, whatever, it's a very good option in these regards. But of course it is not the only action that you want to land. Actually, landing huge cuts and powerful cuts, even from out of distance, may be a good idea if you want to overwhelm the opponent, parry, bind, whatever. Now we may of course say that ideally if you want to fence from out of distance and enter slowly into distance, you may want to land tiny action before, so while approaching the opponent, and only then if you enter into distance land bigger actions with intention and power. But it also needs to be said that it is not the only way in which you may fence. You may even want, as I said, to land very strong actions from out of distance if you want to create strong bind and actually make the opponent flee on the other side because you simply want to do it. Or you can even land powerful attack towards the opponent's head in a way which prevents the opponent parry, the opponent action, etc. Putting momentum into your actions, so the weight of your body, the power of your arms and of your blade, which is flying from above, it is something that actually works. If we give a look to the history of fencing, we find a great variety of ideas and ways, both of training actions and of landing actions. In terms of training, there are people which divide every single thing in tiny little bricks that you have to connect, like Lego bricks. For instance, Fiore is one of them. You find people which train like forms, assalti, which you may also call katas, because it is a name which remembers something which is more a cliche, like Marozzo, for instance. You may find people which work all the time with if, then, else, like the medieval Germans and Renaissance Germans for the most part. And then you may go forward and find people fencing with the small sword, the saber. You may find modern épée with its conceptualization of tactics. But you have to remember that even if we live in a continuum, and theoretically speaking, we are improving our way of conceptualizing things, it doesn't necessarily mean that what came before has always been worse than what we have right now. Sometimes it is just different. In my club, for instance, I try to give people tools, different tools, and I make them play as they find best. Because generally speaking, not every one of us thinks in the same way. We are not thinking in line in every single case. We do not think in a circular way in every single case. Sometimes people are better at putting together different tiny little things. Sometimes people prefer to have fixed things, like do 1, 2, 3, and then organizing it from the very beginning of the fight. Then they lose themselves in the middle. There are instinctual people. They are all based on instinct, and they just enter the fight. They have one plan, which is like plan delivered, like landing an attack, and then they go like parry post like mad, because they are very good at it. They are very instinct-based people, and so they are very good at landing all that actions that require to not think, actually. So they enter into that kind of condition because they want to be there. Not everyone thinks the same way. Not every head is made the same. And so my advice for everyone which trains and teach is that just Try things out. Maybe you will find out that just putting modern épée tactics on your longsword will work for you. Maybe you will find out that Lichtenauer fencing works for you, or either Fiore or Marozzo or whatever. And in the end, what is important is what you may display as your fencing, how it works, what is your objective. Do not always get obsessed with the objectives, funny enough, of other people. Do not try to standardize because everyone is doing the same thing. Try to find out new ways of thinking and of fencing. You may even end up winning a tournament doing something that no one has ever done in the last 20 years, for instance, simply because of this fact. No one ever did it. And if you find out that that thing doesn't work for you, just change it, and chances that you will find something that works. Remember, as humans, we are not rational. We tend to rationalize things, which is different. So if someone says that something is better, chance is that they are rationalizing something that they lived. And this doesn't necessarily fit you too. Very good, people. I hope you will find this video useful in some ways. Thanks for watching as always. Remember to check my Patreon link in the description if you want to support me and the channel. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.